Hello, people. I'm Jaby KOAY, joined by Achara KIRK.
What's up?
We just finished watching Scam 1992, Episode 6, Stop Press.
Wow.
So if you want to watch our reaction, it is available on patreon.com/Jaby KOAY in two forms. You can watch a cut-down version, or you can watch the entire thing uncut, uninterrupted, but you will need your own subscription to Sony Live, one of those. And you open up our reaction in an adjacent window, and it's like you're watching it along with us. Anywho, here we've got the IMDb one-liner. While HARSHAD clears off most of his debts to SBI, Sucheta, on receiving a tip from Bellary, just won't give up on her ordeal of exposing the fraud of 500 crores. Both have just 24 hours to turn table. Okay, that's what it was. So Jaby MEHTA, okay, when I was, this is a stupid reference, but while I was watching it, I was like, oh, Jaby MEHTA directed this, so you have to be a MEHTA to direct it. And then at the end of the credits, it said directed by Hansel MEHTA. I'm like, wait, did I read something wrong? It's because they're co-directors. Jaby MEHTA and Hansel MEHTA both directed this.
Gotcha.
And I have been wondering this entire time that we've been watching the show if there's any relation whatsoever between any of the MEHTAs. So, anywho, this was an interesting episode. It was quite short compared to the other episodes that we've seen so far.
I thought at first that maybe it just moved really quickly and that it felt fast, but at the end of the episode, it was actually like, oh, this was a 40-minute episode as opposed to the 50-minute episodes that we've been watching so far.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with them. Like, if they don't have enough story for 50 minutes, it's fine by me. I don't need it to be any more.
I mean, it stopped at just the right point because it shows you like all of the build up, and it has been like this whole time that we've been watching it. It's been ramping up to this moment.
Yeah.
And now the story, like by the end of the episode, the story comes out and it's like, oh shit. Yeah. What are you going to do now, HARSHAD?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Once again, this is an episode where we aren't actually spending a tremendous amount of time with HARSHAD MEHTA. It was more about Sucheta's adventure, her journey to get this story published, which is ultimately how we even have this show to begin with.
Right.
But, you know, it being a scam is something I called out while watching the show. Is it's not the only scam happening in the show. The other scam is the attack on HARSHAD MEHTA from the business side, from the other stockbrokers who are trying to just completely crush him.
Yeah, it's like a tenant pincer attack.
Yeah.
They're like coming on both sides. Kapow!
Yeah, exactly. You know, I understand, as it's been outlined in this episode in particular, what HARSHAD MEHTA did was scandalous. It was a scam. It was bad. He was making use of the government's money, or he's not practicing things by the book. But by the same token, a lot of the banks and whatnot, these huge conglomerate companies, they make up their own rules that they play by. And it's changing every day to whatever suits them and their needs. The rules are made by the rich for the rich.
Well, exactly.
As soon as you start examining it, you'll learn that. And that's something I learned a long time ago reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad at the age of 14 years old. The rules are made by the rich for the rich. And when we had the Enron, scandal here in the States with the housing crisis and all that stuff, George W. Bush bailed them out. It's because they made up their reasons why. The reason we went to war was over oil. It's like all the rules are made by the rich for the rich. It supports the rich. And, the little people try to fight back, and every now and then you get one. But at the end of the day, it's like they still control everything.
Well, it's like Sucheta's source said. He's like, it's not that what he's doing isn't anything really special because everyone does it.
Yeah.
Everyone is holding the money, like the brokers are holding the money and then they're investing the money and then giving the money back.
Yeah.
That's not new.
It's common practice.
It's common practice.
Yeah.
But I guess what is scandalous about what HARSHAD's doing is the amount. Because he's playing with 500 crore instead of, 10.
A crore.
Yeah, a crore.
Yeah.
So, and you get this sense as well, like you were saying before, about the people that are against him, the bearish people.
Yeah, he's burning on both sides of the candle.
Yeah, like, what was it, Manu and Kedia and Tiagi, like all of those guys, both in the stock markets and the money markets, he's ruffled some feathers and they're all part of this old boys club, and he's that new young guy who's coming in and disrupting things, and they're all like, no, we have to get rid of you. And so they're kind of putting all these chess pieces in play to take him out.
And make a lot of money in the process.
Make a lot of money, because if he's not in the picture anymore, then that bull run that they're going on is gonna stop, right?
It's all about money at the end of the day. Even with this press story, I get that she is a noble, moral character. She's the moral compass of the show. But at the end of the day, journalists are trying to make money. And so if you have a very, very hot story, it's going to make money. You're going to sell more papers as a result.
I don't even know if she cares about the money, to be honest.
As far as the show is telling us,
Right.
no, she doesn't. I don't know about her in real life. I'm hoping that that's who she is in real life, but you have no idea.
Well, to me, it seems like her goal, in much the same way that HARSHAD is super ambitious, she's ambitious because she wants to, have her righteous story be on the front page. And she almost had it. It's like, yay, my cover got on the front page. That's awesome. But then when she saw how they edited her story, she was like, why?
You can't win them all. You got to pick and choose your battles there. I mean, she made some noise, and that's what counts. That's what was illustrated by the end of the episode, was that she made noise. Like, that's the important part. She didn't do it to the effect, to the scale that she wanted, but she still got within 90% of it. It's what it looks like.
Right, yeah, because she wanted to use his name.
Right.
But they changed it to the big bull. But obviously anyone who read that story would have known exactly who she was talking about, even if she never mentioned his name at all. But
Exactly.
it kept them all safe.
Yeah.
Right?
One thing I wanted to say was, because we kind of got lost in the weeds there, was even though what he's doing is wrong, as I've said in the previous review, he's still this character that is, among the villains, the most noble, in my opinion. It's the way the show paints him versus everyone else. He might have been the biggest jerk in real life, but the way the show paints him is he's a very likable guy. And so I'm still, even though I know what he did was wrong, even though I know he's going to plummet hard, I'm still rooting for him, because it's like, you see where he came from, you see where he ended up. He's barely had time to really enjoy his wealth. And that's the thing, is when you are, racing, when you're driving your car in the red the whole time, you're going to burn out quick,
Yeah, well, I mean, from what I've heard from some people, it seems like HARSHAD MEHTA was a hero to a lot of people in India.
Sure, and so is Jesse James.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. He was a hero because he came from rags to riches, but
Exactly.
they don't know how he did it. They don't know what methods and what tricks he pulled. But the truth of the matter is, in order to rise up and get somewhere, you're always having to do something that is bending the rules in such a way that maybe isn't physically hurting anybody. That's how so many people get ahead. It's like, okay, take me for instance, right? When I worked in casting, you needed experience in order to become a session runner, which is like you're directing the actors in the commercial auditions. It's a catch-22 because they only want to hire people that are experienced, and so it's like, how do you get in?
Right.
How do you become a session runner without getting experience? In order to get experience, I have to have worked as a session runner.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with the actors union here in Los Angeles or in America. It's like, okay, so you have to have 3 SAG jobs in order to become a SAG actor. But in order to become a SAG actor, you have to have, it's like, but wait, you have to be a SAG actor. You have to be a SAG actor in order to get the SAG jobs to begin with.
Sure, yeah.
And so it's all this weird catch-22. For me, what I did was I lied. I said that I was working as a session runner for 3 years, and that's how I got into session running. I just winged it, and thankfully, it all worked out, and I was able to do the job competently, right? And so you're always winging it in order to move your way up. Steven Spielberg famously got off the Universal tram ride and just opened an office at Universal, like his own office that happened to be empty. And people were like, who's this kid that, he just opened his own office, and then that's how he started making movies. It was the most random thing. Obviously, you couldn't do that today. That's wrong. It's breaking the rules. You're not supposed to hop off the tram ride. He did it, and look where he is today. No one's complaining about that thing he wasn't supposed to do a long time ago.
Right.
And so that's the thing about this world, is sometimes you have to bend the rules a little bit in order to get ahead. It's when you take it too far and you think you're invincible, that's when you get fucked. That's why I think at the end of the day, I still root for him. I still find his story inspiring. I don't like that he was taking advantage of people, but the thing is, the practice he was using, companies use that all the time. Like I said before, I believe, with life insurance companies, any insurance companies, they're making money hand over fist off of your life, off of your health.
Well,
because
banks do that with your money?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but what I'm saying with insurance specifically, if I'm paying into life insurance every month, like $100, let's say, right? There's supposed to be a payout at the end of it to my family or to my beneficiaries. But in the meanwhile, that money's being used and put into mutual funds or whatever that make that company more money.
Yeah.
While they're holding on to it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're making tons of money off of my life insurance. Then they're giving back this substantially smaller portion off of all these profits they made, right? They're giving this substantially smaller portion to the beneficiaries. It's a very common practice.
I mean, that's just how it works.
Yeah. And so it doesn't bother me that much when I hear this stuff because he hasn't really hurt anybody. No one has lost because of him. So I'm still like, oh no, but that sucks. I still root for him.
It was just the amount, right? Because you see the nervousness when Sitaraman hands him the bank receipts in the beginning, because it's like the amount is huge, and I don't think he was supposed to get that much money, but they kind of did it underhand. I mean, I might be misunderstanding everything, but it was just 500 crore is a lot of money. It seemed like, because he was dealing with them a lot, he was just kind of like, yeah, I'll be fine. No one's going to notice, it'll be in and out in a jiffy. But then there were issues, and that's when all the problems started.
Yeah. I think the other part of it, like you said, a lot of people looked at him as their hero. The other part of it is wanting to be him, living vicariously through him, wanting to have what he has, take the risks that he's taken in order to move ahead.
Well, I was told that he was the very first person to have a Lexus in India, if what my buddy told me is to be believed, and after he had one, that popularized the Lexus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. I would imagine that HARSHAD MEHTA, the real HARSHAD MEHTA, has recouped something. Is he spending the rest of his life in jail or something? I don't know the real life counter. Well, let's not talk about it yet, actually. I want to just watch the end of the show, and then, we can talk about that. But, I'm sure there's got to be some kickback for off the very fact that they're doing this show about him. He's got to get something back. It's in his name. So
unless Sucheta Dalal is the only person who made money on the story credit, but
who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, if he probably has written books about his experience that people were very curious to gobble up and read. I'm sure. Like, what's his name? Jordan Belfont or whatever of Wolf of Wall Street. He's made tons of money off of his story.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, interesting episode, you guys. Hopefully enjoy that discussion. I'm Jaby KOAY. This is
Achara.
Peace out.